wait for him to be ready.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good Washington morning to you. My name is George Kakairi, and I will be one of your hosts this weekend. Welcome to the Technology Forum of the UNAA Convention of this year, 2024. It's with great anticipation that we now speak from Washington, because it's the second year running of a 3-year strategy that UNAA's members that are technology prone came up with to see and find ways of getting together to galvanize our knowledge, experience, and exposure to the technology world in our environment, both here in the United States and beyond, but most especially in Uganda as well. So we are delighted that you're part of this vision, of this cycle of 2024. We have a lineup of conversations, sessions that are going to be taking place here in this space, both today and tomorrow. We're going to do our best to make these links available to each one of our platforms so that you can join in if you cannot make it into the building, but definitely if you can, please welcome to the Gaylord Resort here in Washington at the harbor, at the National Harbor. This morning, we are off to a bit of a late start. This is day one, but nonetheless, we will make the best of the time we have. And above all else, we are graced with the presence of Her Excellency Robbie Kakonge, Uganda's ambassador to the United States, who represents and serves all of us here in the diaspora, that has joined the conversation. There are many insights that I believe she is privy to share from the perspective of a strategic government position representing the executive of Uganda here in the US. There is great priority that has been attached to the value of the diaspora. And as you know, we are a significant part of the economy in Uganda, and I believe that there are many linkable insights to that. And so to highlight that prioritization, that appreciation, I would like you to join me to make welcome Her Excellency, being the first addressee of this technology forum. Certainly not the very last time she is with us. We hope to build on these conversations and create real traction, tractionable outcomes this weekend. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will now join together and welcome Her Excellency. Your Excellency, you're more than welcome. Thank you.
morning.
Thank you for the kind introduction. It is a pleasure to be here this morning, but more importantly, it is a pleasure to be part of the conversation that UNAA is putting forth. After 36 years, surely you're not behind. You're in the footsteps that are leading to the next generation. You're marching forward confidently, and for that, the embassy is thankful for the opportunity to be with you this morning. The reality is, all roads are leading to tech. Whether it is high speed, low speed, no speed, sooner or later we're all going to be in that space. Actually, we're already in that space of technology. In America, there's a saying that says, put your money where your mouth is. And surely, Uganda government has invested resources in these key areas under economic, commercial diplomacy. It's also a part of the economic, commercial development. And those areas are agriculture, tourism, mining and development, and of course, science, technology, and IT. And we are among the 12 other embassies out of 32 that have been selected to make sure that we make inroads and investments in those areas. So we look towards the private sector, we look towards partnerships, and we surely look towards our diaspora to be partners in this journey. We're looking at partnerships with universities, we're looking at partnerships in innovation, we're looking at conversations where even if it's content, even if it's anything that has to do with tech, what role will our young people have? But more importantly, what ownership will there be? What are the advantages of having this technology? But in addition, what are the responsibilities? The intellectual responsibilities, the content responsibilities, things that matter need to be protected. And in terms of content, in terms of technology, we really need to begin to see where that road will lead us. Because it's useless to just produce for the sake of producing. As we all know, we're one of the youngest generation, we're one of the youngest populations in the world. And our young people are not shy about being in that space. If anything, they really are in that space. Whether it's TikTok, whatever engagement, they're there. And as we all know, private sector tends to lead. And government would like to regulate, would like to do certain things. And those are conversations all over the world. When you see big companies coming to Congress and having discussions about what happened, those are the things that we need to begin to get ahead of and have those conversations as the industry develops. We cannot shy away from that because that's our reality. We saw what happened in COVID. Many young people, they prospered. Why? E-commerce. And that just wasn't in Uganda. Even women, you find that a woman who had her matoke in Masaka or in another produce in another place, they would use this device, send pictures, get an order, the money would arrive, mobile money, and the sale would be made. And there'd be no middleman who would say, all those long stories. We have also seen in public health where in the 9 months of preparation, a woman and family may not be able to have the resources in that week of delivery. Things can be tight, but we have seen where that money is saved. 10,000 shillings, 20,000 shillings. what does that do in terms of preparation? You find that on the day that the woman is going to deliver, she has mobile money, she can call the border person, she can get to the hospital in time. So these are small, or these may appear small, but sometimes these are the life-changing things that technology will do for us. We also have entertainment. Entertainment is $1 billion shillings a year. But why should our young people create this content and distribute this content and get it zero? But more importantly, who owns that content? So when we talk about value addition, we're talking about value addition in technology as well. We're talking about the music that we have, the languages that we have. How do we begin to preserve those and protect those so that genuine ours, but more importantly, that they also translate into economic and commercial empowerment? Because those are our voices. When you look at the industry, not to give away my age, but there's a time where when you went to a concert in Uganda, everything was named up. You know, everything, that was like the real concert. But again, during COVID, I have some young people there. They're in their 20s, my children, their friends. They're having these virtual concerts. And they have projectors, and they do their rooms, and they do all these things. And you'd say, what's happening? But there are conversations happening. There was a lifestyle. There's a whole new world happening. So what are the realities of that? And how do we begin to prepare and to be productive, but mostly to see that it is beneficial? Things change, and when they change and you don't understand, sometimes there's fear. But in many times, fear is false evidence appearing real. Is this thing that this machine or AI or something will just swallow generations or swallow something? But we also need to see in that when it comes to education, when it comes to partnerships. I've been to MIT 3 times, and they're willing to partner with Uganda and Ugandans in terms of research. Very basic things, things that has movement. What happens when you're moving? What happens with the predictions of movement in dance? Because in those movements, when there are processes, for example, of rehabilitation, or when they're looking at aging processes, these are things that we can begin to learn from. These are things that they can begin to, it's part of the research, things that we do every day. But again, we need to see that these ordinary things, where they become extraordinary in Uganda, where do they stand, and how can we move forward? So I want to thank the organizers of this part of the UNAA program in the Every Tech. And I also want to make a commitment as the embassy in that we want to have a continued dialogue on tech. And the advantage is that we have digital diplomacy. So let's leverage the digital space. Let's have conversations. I'm also the non-resident ambassador to many countries, Mexico, Argentina, Brazil. And they too are having their own conversations with the universities. So let's see how do we reach out to them and continue to engage. Because in the tech space, it's also about engaging. So I won't take up too much of your time. Because with technology, you talk too much, somebody just swipes the screen and they go on to the next. So I'll avoid being swiped to the left or swiped to the right. And I'll end it here and just say thank you again. And also I want to encourage women in leadership and also
Excellency like this. So let's respond to that. Anybody has a comment, a question, or anything you'd like to share? We have a roving mic with Robert. All things technology, strategy, policy. We want to grow. All right, Gina has something.
Good morning, everyone. All protocols observed. My name is Regina Nkari Rwanda. I'm the UNAA Director of Development. Your Excellency, thank you so much for those words. I'm a technology professional, and I'm very excited to be here. I'm a senior data scientist, senior data engineer in AI, machine learning, predictive analytics. So when I hear that kind of message, I'm very, very excited. And it's about time we embrace technology and make sure that we're now living in the age of AI, so we should be able to leverage AI to solve some of our problems that we have in, especially Uganda. I know that will really, really help. So I'm glad that you're giving us the support that we need, and we're very, very grateful. And with your team as well. Thank you.
You're most welcome, but again, it is, at the embassy, it is our responsibility and our duty to present these conversations and to follow up and to make sure that there are connections. So I will accept the thank you, but more important, I want you to accept the challenge of doing something. We had a fantastic, lovely, very fancy lunch at Amazon. And we've also had conversations with Microsoft. I mentioned MIT, but what do? I will have a nice lunch. What can we do together? With these conversations, when it's time to follow up, who are my experts? Because I'm not the expert. I am an expert in communication. Masters from university, I can communicate, but I'm not a technical person. So the other conversation is, can I have the advisors and discussions in AI? What can artificial intelligence do in health? What can it do in public health? What can it do in education? What can it do in media? So these are the conversations, because when I go to my colleague ambassadors, and we have these discussions, they have experts, subject experts in those areas. So being an ambassador is like having a home. Home is home, but then what happens in that process? Because really the responsibility is on the experts. We're here to work together. You're the ones who are day in and day out are in that field. My job is to make sure that I knock on the doors that matter. If I have to push them down, I will. But to sit there and say, okay, it's been nice, nice is nice, but then so what? So, it's your challenge. Yes, if we meet here again next year, and I say you're welcome, and you say thank you, and you say nice.
We're doing something about it.
Yes. Okay, but let's do that something together.
Yes, we are. Just starting right here. And you have all the professionals. My daughter is here, she's going to make a presentation, and she's in tech, she's at college. Okay. And there's so many others that are out there that we need to get together so that we can move forward in that direction.
Okay, even her, really your challenge. You and young lady, you and I are going to start a conversation with other tech people in university. Because that's where these internships will begin to come from. That's where these partnerships with Macquarie University or the others will begin to come from. When you're all ambassadors in this field, in your capacity. So we're going to have a forum for young people in tech, women in tech. Let's do this.
Thank you so much.
Two more.
basically making things work via technology. They have invested in fiber across the country. They have enabled telecoms to invest in the latest technology. The 5G you have here in the US, the same 5G you have back home. Martin works for MTN. Their network is 5G, enabled. So we have connectivity across the country. And we want to thank you, and I want to thank the government that day. The appeal I have is that whereas young people are using, big platforms like TikTok, YouTube, and others, there are some platforms that are still blocked. They can't be accessed within Uganda in the last 3 to 4 years. And Facebook is one because since you live here and you work for Uganda here, why don't you talk to Facebook and talk to the government of Uganda to sit down and resolve their issues? Because those young people in Uganda who are sending, we talked about people merchandising over tech. There are many who used to sell stuff over Facebook. Right now, they can't sell over TikTok, which is a different platform. So it's something I think there are two powerful people that have failed to agree. Facebook says Uganda is a small, in this scheme of things, you can't tell them what to do. And Uganda says this territory is ours. If you want to be in this space, you must talk to us. So I believe you are the only person who will understand the two. Talk to these Americans here, talk to our Ugandan people to sit and agree and open Facebook. Ugandans use it, but very expensively, via VPN. So these people are spending data 10 times in terms of cost to access Facebook. Government institutions use Facebook, but it is banned in Uganda. But you find police, which is supposed to enforce law and order, they are posting on Facebook. The State House posting on Facebook. Embassies are posting on Facebook. So I think my last statement of an appeal, you help us absolve this. Out of this, you say, yes, I'm going to engage Facebook and engage the government of Uganda. That will be the biggest way that we take part. Thank you.
Thank you once again, and I'm very familiar with Next Media, and what we look forward to is a bigger platform, the Next Media. Again, we're looking for ways to continue to engage on a bigger scale. So when you have Netflix, I'm looking for bigger things. There's a saying that when one door closes, another door opens. So as we look for continued engagements, and of course that's part of my job and my responsibility in diplomacy, to engage, to negotiate. So the nice diplomatic answer that I'm going to give you is that we shall see how we can engage, also in action. So nothing is ever, in diplomacy, nothing is ever a closed door. There's always room for opening. I can't commit that they're going to open, I can't commit, but I can commit that I will start the conversation and engage, as a diplomat, engage at that level. But also we want to see what platforms of our own can we have, even if it's those that are not closed, TikTok, all these other things. And even with TikTok, when you look at where we are right now, there are sentiments in DC saying, no, that door should be closed. And we have candidates who are on TikTok. So the paradox of close, don't close, post, don't post, it's not dynamic to Uganda, but it's a global conversation that we need to begin to have. But more importantly, what platforms can we put in the process or establish so that we determine when to close them, when to open them, that they are ours? When do we have our house in order, rather than complain about being locked out
for some reason to change some standard and they no longer want some equipment. And we wanted to get all this to schools. Anyone knows what opportunity we had. But unfortunately, the law was some law against second-hand equipment which tripped us. Is there any opportunity to overcome that somehow?
Can you please, I don't have the embassy email offhand, but I'll give you a direct number, 202-279-1842. It's a WhatsApp number. Send me that message and we'll follow up. And this is the last one because I'm next door. We're having a fireside chat with Ambassador Farm. I don't want to pull away from this space, but this is, you really recently been getting a good ear from Washington's, and he's been in Africa, he knows our situations, we're looking at policy issues, investment issues, and it's a good opportunity.
Thank you, Susan. It's Koshruba from Switzerland, International Lawyers and Economics Involvement. Actually, my question we partly answered. It was to request if there's a specific place where all these brains can contact you, engage. So if I may request Your Excellency, repeat that number for us here who want to engage. I think we already thank Ambassador, she's open, but we need to follow up ourselves, do our part. And asking for a contact, I think, is one of the steps forward, that we can communicate by the notes or for later, or surf on the DC website. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So please,
another initiative that we just took at the embassy, we're putting together a WhatsApp feedback number, and we're calling it Home is Home, So if you have questions about visas, this, that, you just put the topic first, and then you can send it to this number. It's a US number. It's 771-217-6949. Let me repeat that. 771-217-6949. But let me also repeat the other number. That's my direct number, direct contact, 202-279-1842. Put me to task. The president sent me here to work. So I am here to work. Put me to task.
Perfect. Your Excellency.
Let me go back and say, this is what you asked me to do. Where I can't, help me. If you're stuck, don't ever be in, because even me, I ask others. But we can do this thing together. But we cannot stay in our corner and say, Samanya, Satihera, Sadiwo, because you're all here, I've seen you. Thank you.
Thank you. Another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. We're off to a great start, a little late, but I think we can make progress beyond this. We'll get right into it. Today, just as Her Excellency has given those remarks, we have young talents, we have young people among us that we want to really showcase, highlight. We're a little bit late on time. My goal is that we drive this to the best of our ability to bring out what the purpose of this meeting is. Again, I want to re-echo that we would like to highlight and engage. A lot of things that we're discussing today are in a state of flux, they are in evolution mode, and so we want to highlight and engage. So the goal here is to understand and then add value to the conversation to the best of our ability. So right now, without further ado, I would like for, I would have called her my daughter under other circumstances, but would you please, Natasha, come over and give us your brief presentation. The presentation will be about 5 minutes. It is a follow-up to a presentation that she made very briefly last year. As she sets up, one of the things we are doing this year is to build upon what we did last year. There was an idea that Natasha shared with us, and it has evolved over the last 12 months. We have several young people that are incubating ideas, applications, and solutions, and here we are. Please take the mic.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Natasha Chirunda, and I am a second-year student in university, and I am studying for a Bachelor of Science in Economics and Computer Science and Engineering. And today, I am here to talk about my AI app that I am in the process of creating. So last summer, I visited 3 schools in Fort Portal, Nyakasura, Rusikere, and Chibambe. So a little bit about each 3 schools is that in Nyakasura, I sat down with the students and the teachers and told them about my app, and got a few students that were very engaged in wanting to participate in the app, the ones who were in the computer science classes, and they have working Wi-Fi, they have a computer lab, and now it is a girls and boys school. And the computer science classes consist of web design, introduction to computer science, and computer science principles. So those 3 schools consist of those. And in Rusikere, it's also a mixed boys and girls school. It's I sat down with actually the head principal of the school and talked with them from their computer lab, which they have 25 computers, and they do not have Wi-Fi, so we have brought them a WorkNet router hotspot on Wi-Fi to allow them to connect to the app, which will be online and offline. Just in case any power goes out or if the school does not have access to internet. And then Chibambe, the all-girls school, we spoke with the head teacher who sat down with me, and then we went and I had a whole presentation with all 1,000 girls in the school, and they have computer lab and many computer classes, so both 3 schools are involved. I chose these 3 schools because all of them have certain importance. One of the schools, my Jaja, my mom's dad, went to the school in Yasakura when he was younger, so I wanted to put that in his name, as he will rest in peace. And also my app is copyright at AI Rototo. I'm using AWS Amplify series and also cloud-based models to help promote my app, which is in the making and should be produced and finished by summer of 2025. But then there's some work I did at Harvard Summer School in 2022 that involved AI models and fake news detection that I wanted to incorporate and talk about because it relates to my app. Where we just talked about AI models that can identify and content like fake news or natural language processing algorithms that involve HTML, web pages, and structures with different types of code. And then a bag of words were taken and just summarized a various of words that would combine them into one using an AI model. So that's what I also plan to do with my app, so that they can notice all the different coding types and languages that I use. And then obviously the software and cloud-based Internet of Things IoT system will be promoted in years to come in the future. But I will be including machine learning algorithms and 3D maps surrounding it, and the app will contain economics and computer science and engineering mix in the app together. And then I just wanted to talk about Waymo and Tesla, as they are 2 autonomous vehicles, self-driving cars that I think could be very important in like today's world. Like Waymo uses light beam LiDAR systems, which is like an array of lights that collect with data from different algorithms, while Tesla uses data from all production of other cars and uses radar instead of LiDAR. And both camera systems are tough and bulky as they're built into the car, and they're effective in a visual presentation of the world in both the dark and the light. And then I just wanted to finish off by saying that right now I have a part-time job at this company called Scale Outlier AI, which is based in San Francisco, California. I work remote, and it's a software company that specializes in artificial intelligence, and I'm a prompt engineer and lead contributor. And I work to complete projects every day with use cases and AI models, and I train chatbots in my area of expertise, which is economics and computer science engineering, and I evaluate and rank responses and prompts based on AI systems that are given to me from the company. And that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, I would say she rocks, doesn't she?
Yeah.
All right, girls in tech. Ladies and gentlemen, this is work in progress. Certainly what Natasha is doing and has done is commendable. I can only imagine where we shall be 2-3 years from now. This segment is really to highlight work in progress and some of the things we've done since last year. So what Natasha has done is to show us, one, she has an application in mind that she is developing, and it's an artificial intelligence driven application. And then she's using her education and work experience that she's getting as an intern. Can I say intern? Yeah. To learn and use that knowledge to build. So in other words, you have a professional entrepreneur. She knows that she needs to learn, and yet she's applying what she's learning. So the goal of this particular session is to help us build those links between where we get skills and how we transform them into actual products. And this is our SI unit. All right. Does anyone have any reactions, responses to that? Because Natasha is observing what Tesla and Waymo are doing in their autonomous vehicle development programs and taking that autonomous vehicle knowledge that is driving the real-time data analytics that allows a vehicle to drive itself to really power our application. Any comments, any questions, any responses?
So, really, brilliant work that you're doing. Brilliant work. Very good. So when you were in Western Uganda, right, those 3 schools, you experience, based on your experience here and what you're doing, and how probably you want to work with those 3 schools to get them up to speed, what were the challenges? What immediate challenge did you see, or something that can be solved? But what was something that can be done to, ramp it up really quickly?
Thank you for your question. The immediate problem that I did see is that Rusakere did not have Wi-Fi. And yes, I am going to make the app online and offline, just so that if the power goes out or if the people who do have Wi-Fi doesn't work, it can still work. But the one issue is that not having Wi-Fi is usually how they can't do their own computer science classes. So that was the one problem we figured out, but I did get in contact with my uncle who works for MTN Mobile in UG, and he did get them a Wi-Fi. So we did work on that problem very quickly. I haven't noticed any other problems that are as big as that one, but if it does come across, we will work on it as quickly as we did the other one.
Excellent. Natasha's presentation of what she just shared is shared in our will be good. Connectivity. We are honored today that one of the biggest internet service providers is represented in this room by none other than Mr. Martin, simply by the back, the man in black. He is the MTN brand manager, and so raise the alarm for MiFi's. He's the man to talk to, right? Yeah, we would like to further this conversation by highlighting a very, very relative partner in the development of young talent, skill, expertise, and experience. I have learned some interesting things about this partner, and I want you to watch the keyword partner. I spent the last 90 days in Uganda until Sunday last week when I came back. And in that time, I have uncovered a trend that might be valuable for all of us to remember. Business is no longer business as usual, Natasha, if you'd like to. Let me see. I don't want to hold you up too much. Yeah, so business is no longer business as usual, and this is why I say so. Let me switch to this one. So, after initiating an investment opportunity and discussing it with one of the leading banks in Uganda, my eyes were opened to a trend. That trend is the new business development strategy that is being implemented by some organizations around us. It might be subtle, but it's very powerful. And I want you to remember those words as our next speaker comes up to share with us. I discovered that it is more sustainable for me to give you new business if you are interested in my business. Old school marketing and brand development says you put up billboards, push adverts, and tell people to buy your products, and tell them why they must buy your products and not the competition. Well, Equity Bank has taken a different approach. The approach that Equity Bank has taken is an amazing approach. Ladies and gentlemen, we will add to this shortly after we hear from none other than the head of retail banking at Equity Bank, Mr. Galauzi Johnson. Make him welcome.
Very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Judge. Let me hope all your families are well. I'm more than honored and humbled to be present today and having been invited. We do not take it for granted at Equity Bank. Let me hope all of you are well. I'll just give a preamble about Equity Bank for those that do not know it, and also jump in a bit about what he's just made mention of and how we can link into the forum and what is being discussed today. Well, Equity Bank has been around for the last 40 years, having started in 1984 as a building society. The beauty about Equity Bank is that we operate a twin-engine business model. The twin-engine business model is about having the financial arm and then the foundation on the side. And we realize that all the time as bankers, we're interested in making a lot of money off you as our clients, but sometimes do not give back to the clients that enable us, get a lot of money off them. That is why the Equity Group came up with a twin-engine model that has the Equity Bank Holdings. In the Equity Bank Holdings or Equity Group Holdings, we have the bank, we have an insurance arm, We have a tech arm. We have one of the biggest clinics called EBT Afia in there. And we also have a mobile network operator function or license that we call Equitel. Now that is the business side. And the other arm is the Equity Group Foundation. And that's where I'll speak about the Equity Leaders Program that comes under the foundation. The foundation is basically to ensure that we give back to the public, ensure that we in the field of education, health, in the field of agriculture to support people for them to have a sustainable way of living. My focus will be about the Equity Leadership Program and how it taps into the business that we do. Under the Equity Leadership Program, what happens is that we have decided to identify, especially across the East African region, because we are in 6 African countries. We were one of the biggest banks in Eastern Central. Actually, we're not one. We are the biggest bank in Eastern Central, around there. And we have decided to give back through the Equity Leadership Program. And this is what happens. And I'll use Uganda as an example of what is happening there and talk about Kenya. We identify the top performing students in every district where we are present. We currently have 50 branches in Uganda. Now, we get the top performing students, give them paid up internship during their vacation and while they're still at a university, help them settle in the university, make them our brand ambassadors, give them counseling while they study in career guidance, and definitely make their lives better. Now, what that means is that we are focusing on at least 2 students. In Uganda, we've had 2 cohorts. That means if we have 50 branches, plus of course the corporate branches that we have taken up close to 112 students. We've had so far 3 intakes. Out of those, we also have what we call the EBT flights, where we also sponsor them to top niche universities, like the one that Natasha is attending and others, and is fully funded by the bank. Now, what that means is that we need for the long-term investment. Now, our current chief operating officer is the former managing director of Equity Bank Uganda. He's called Samuel Kirobi. He is a scholar out of the ELP program. So it means it has been around for quite some time, almost for half the time the bank has been existent. We have so far supported close to 980 students taken to international universities, that is outside their countries. Now, when we look at the net impact that we have done, I'll have to get some of the statistics here quickly. We've been able to support using the EBT program. At least we've done 60,000 scholarships that are to different secondary schools, because we also do it for secondary schools across Kenya, Tanzania, we're in DRC, we're in Rwanda, we're in South Sudan. So it's a project that has been ongoing. We have enrolled over 23,852 and also sent 980 global students in there. So it means we're looking at it as a give back to the people that have been so good to us over time, and definitely growing around those areas. That is basically about the Equity Leadership Program. It is ongoing. We have sponsored a couple of them, and that's how we're supporting inside there. So I'd like to thank you very much. Basically around that, maybe just to give you another snapshot, Equity Group is a $13.5 billion US group. This information is available on the internet. You can always Google and get to know the depth of the partner that you'll be working with. Thank you very much.
Okay, before you leave, Johnson, I think it's relevant that we react to this. If you can repeat those statistics, maybe not the statistics particularly, but the leadership program, for those that may have missed it, this program has caught our attention because they seek out, they look for, this is not about influence peddling. This is identifying in every district where there is an equity branch, who is the child that performed best at S6, regardless of whether they live in a hut, in a bungalow, whose son or daughter they are. They will come and find you and encourage you by paying your way through school. Isn't that amazing? All right. Anybody with any question or comment? Mike is open.
Thank you so much for your presentation. We are very grateful for you letting us know. My question to you, Mr. Karamsi, is do you have any program for the kids in the diaspora, the youth that may be interested in programming that?
Truthfully, currently, apart from the ones that were sponsored from back home and have created like a network for them, we don't have one that we have started out for kids in diaspora, but that is something to ponder about, given that we are now very interested in the diaspora business, and that's why we show up for these conventions. It's something that we will pick up and definitely progress in that area.
Thank you so much.
This is mine. Is there a limit to the bursary, as in, can I pick and choose what university I go to if I'm one of those kids, or how does this work?
If you qualify, we will take on the expense, irrespective of which university. We have some that have gone to Yale, others to Harvard, others to a couple of universities. It's a scholarship. We have to fulfill it, provided you qualify.
And does that apply to every program I could take on neuroscience?
Oh yes. Actually, we take pride in those very unique programs that will definitely create an impact back home. So we support them fully.
Wow. Okay, thank you, Johnson. So I'm going to blow the horn again. Equity Bank has taken a whole different approach to banking. They have become social development partners, and that makes it a business I want to do business with, because they truly care, and they have put their money where their mouth is, right? And so, for those of you that might be, thinking, I'm also a strategic consultant on business strategy. I mentioned earlier that business development used to be marketing, flyers, banners, adverts, product pushing. But this is a whole different way of doing things. Because of that level of engagement, everybody becomes a loyal brand ambassador for equity. I mean, look at me here. It's like I collect a salary from equity, right? But I've heard the gospel and I believed it because it works. All right? And so we are partnering, we are a proud partner of Equity Bank in many ways in Uganda, and we are continuing to grow that relationship to see how best we can partner to make this work. I lead an organization that is working on putting technology in classrooms
for teachers to use tech to teach kids in the class. And Equity finds that interesting enough for them to say, George, we will partner with you to bring technology to every classroom.
All right. So as that continues to unfold, please, we will keep you posted. But yeah, feel free to reach out. Johnson is here the whole weekend, as well as the rest of the Equity team. They are also proud sponsors of the UNAA convention, several years running now. There's a few other things I had last year that they also support and finance mortgages in the United States. That was interesting. Yeah, very unique about Equity. So, Johnson, I'm blowing the horn. All right. But yeah, please engage. The weekend is to engage as much as we can. Above all else, make sure you learn and understand. If there is a question, it would be great for you to get an answer before you leave. Okay, so moving this along. Again, remember, the new marketing is not commercials, it's partnerships. Everybody say partnerships.
Partnerships.
All right, so make sure you find a new partner this weekend, moving forward. Now, we were supposed to have in our next segment a conversation about bankable business concepts or ideas that are bankable. And in this, one of our hosts from last year and definitely part of the organizing committee of this forum, Mr. Geoffrey Chiboneka, is not here in person, but he is meant to join us via Zoom. And so Mr. Chigundu is looking into that. We have missed out on Mr. Noah Wilson, that we will certainly shuffle the program to try and ensure that we hear from him. He is also one of the young people, one of our most recent graduates that has gotten into the tech space, and along with his budding experience, he started a business, and he is the founder and CEO of Akiri Technology LLC here in the United States. It is a cloud technology business. I believe I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. So when we bring him back online, we will definitely have him provide a lot of insight into what he's doing, what problems he's solving, what value he is bringing to the world as our very own youthful entrepreneur that we want to encourage. This is not encouragement that leads nowhere. I believe his business already is turning a profit, even in its very first 18 months of operation. So keep an eye out for these young people. After that, after Geoffrey has spoken concerning venture capital, we will have an AI conversation. We're looking forward to hearing from Claire right after. Our session should be wrapped up. We are a little behind, but we'll try and make this fast. Mr. Chigundu, is Geoffrey going to be able to join the link?
Yes, Geoffrey is going to be joining. I'm setting him up.
Okay, great. Okay, so while that comes along, tomorrow our program is just as action-packed, but I want to give you some hints. We will still continue to hear from the next generation first, because we have a lot of follow-up from last year. And we'll start out with Kevin tomorrow. He is a first-year student of computer science and engineering. And he also has a data-driven application that he is developing that is usable or will be usable in Uganda.
as well as other parts of the developing world. And then after that, we'll have Karen as well come in, and she will share based on an idea that she has been mooting since before we met last year. It is also evolving further into a solution that is actually, in Mr. Chiboneka's words, it was a $5 billion Silicon Valley idea. That's what he said last year after she presented the concept. After that, Mr. Amos Chigeni will share some insights on mentorship. Before we started this conversation, listen, we spoke about Dr. Susan and I, some of the gaps we have before us or in our generation right now, and that is the absence of the knowledge of the value of mentorship. Mentorship. Because society is evolving so fast, there are very few templates that have remained the same. But if you can share something with me, I would learn it faster than it took you to learn. And so, one of the things we want to do is to initiate, is to inspire people that have experience to begin to provide mentorship. And the design of this forum is really stepped down in mentorship, so that we take our experience and make it available by sharing my journey, my experiences, my failures and my successes with those that might be coming behind us, so that they may learn faster, that they may navigate their world with knowledge coming from us. When I came to the US about 20 years ago, I wished I had a mentor. I had questions that I did not know who could answer them. I had a background in business development, and here I was in the middle of the 2008 recession, not knowing what to do next, because business development is one of the budgets that every company can save fast when recessions come up. And so, looks like we're getting ready.
Okay, sorry. I got Geoffrey online. Unfortunately, I don't have a display, so you won't be able to see
I can't hear you.
He won't be able to see you, but you'll be able to hear him. I'm going to put him online.
All right, we will listen like a radio. Geoffrey, can you hear us?
Geoffrey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Geoffrey, we can. Please go ahead.
So should I go ahead?
Yes, you can.
I can hear you. You're right. Everybody's listening to you. Do you want him to begin?
Yes.
Or you reintroduce him again?
Okay. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, for the second year running, we are featuring a segment on venture capital. It's a link segment between ideas, because there are so many good ideas in the world, but there are very few bankable business ideas. So we want to make sure that we have a clear line of sight between why the effort and the fact that there will be a good reward for our technology efforts. So Geoffrey is a professional in the tech space and has been operating in the tech space among venture capital providers in Silicon Valley, and so they are constantly evaluating business ideas, applications, systems, solutions, and concepts from a venture capital perspective. In other words, you have an idea, but you lack the money it takes to develop it. How do you present this idea for funding?
So if it makes sense to a venture capitalist, you're definitely onto something. Geoffrey, please do take it away.
So, Robert, the problem I can't hear what George is saying, but I'll go ahead. So I'm Geoffrey Panica. I live in San Francisco, California, and I'm the founder and managing partner of Venue Capital. We launched this about a year and a half ago. I've been an engineer basically I was an engineer before, but now I turned into investing. I was an engineer for over 25 years here in San Francisco, Silicon Valley area. My last engagement, my last role, I was at Tesla for 7 years. I was one of the early engineers there. So I saw a lot about, building companies and all their risks and, how to build really a global company. But now, turned investor, and because, there's a lot of innovation and entrepreneurship happening in Africa, all the major tech companies have a presence in Africa right now. NVIDIA, Google, Visa. So you need to ask yourself, why do they have a presence? So the reason is that really Africa is the next frontier. It has a young population, and the population will be around 2.5 billion, I think, within 2025. And the population, everyone is growing up with smartphones, tech, and there are really so many problems to solve. Using tech or technology, and the same thing really is being replicated in China and India. So really technology is, at the end, is really a product which is consumed. If you look at, Apple, Tesla, an iPhone, they develop it, but eventually someone has to buy it. So same thing with the car or all these things we use. So really what I realized is that, can I go ahead?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so what I realized is that, right now, within, other countries, like Kenya and Nigeria, there's really an ecosystem that has been developed within the diaspora and Uganda and, just building companies. And it takes kind of a lot of collaboration to build a successful company. So like what Natasha is doing, she has an idea, but it's, she just has an idea really. So it takes a journey to make that product successful and maybe get commercialized. To give you an example, so one of the companies we have invested in Uganda is an electric bike company. So I helped this young entrepreneur build this company to a level right now where some of these electric bikes, the clients are in around 5 African countries, not just Uganda, but Kenya, Zambia, Zimbabwe. The company is also building a patent with Falcon. But it takes kind of a team to do these things. And that's where we come in, people who have different experience. In the room there, there's so many people in AI. So that's where, these forums like this help, first of all, creating awareness, and then, giving people like Natasha and many other people the platform to open their ideas. Awareness is a big problem. It just, maybe it's a cultural problem, but if you don't talk about something, nobody knows. If Natasha doesn't come out, nobody will ever know. So awareness is a big thing. So technology cannot succeed if nobody knows. If you build an iPhone but nobody knows about it, it's dead. If you look at like Tesla, I mean, Elon has 120 million followers. So he talks about the company. So that's how you succeed. So we succeed by having these engagements at UNAA and talking about the products, giving people platform. Then, so maybe another thing to talk about is the way capital, people talk about capital, but capital comes from all of us. Capital doesn't, the investors are investors. Investors are just people. They are not from the moon or whatever, but you just have to organize yourselves. That is what, other communities, have really realized. So investors are not special people. They're just people like us. You understand something and you invest in it. But you have to, be organized and understand what maybe, that product is solving. And products which are solving a real problem are always successful. If you look at, I'll give an example like Tesla, the problem Tesla is solving is really about energy. Because the world cannot, we cannot always keep buying fuel. That is a real problem they're solving. So if you create a problem, if you innovate around solving a problem, everything eventually works by itself. The market will be there. We invested in a company in Uganda solving food waste. So if you look at agriculture, if there's about 40 to 60% food waste. So you can never get out of poverty if 40% is being lost. If someone is there spending time, digging, but 40% is going to get lost, you can never solve the problem. So this company came out with a solution that increases the shelf life of agricultural produce. So right there, they're solving a problem. So the consumers come by themselves. So now there's so many problems to solve, using AI, if in healthcare, in education, in just so many things. If you're solving a problem, then even the investors come by themselves.
All right. Thank you, Geoffrey. Thank you very much, Geoffrey. Did you have any follow-ups for him?
Geoffrey tends to be a very brief guy. Doesn't beat about the bush. When it comes to money, you need to hit the nail on the head. If anybody has been watching The Lion's Den for the UK or the Shark Tank in the US, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, any follow-up questions, comments on what is Geoffrey's rundown on venture capital? If you're not solving a problem, then what are you doing? Why should money be thrown at your solution? Probably you're working on a hobby. But some hobbies also turn commercial sometimes. So any questions, any comments on preparing what you have for venture capital? Anyone?
So I can't hear the question, so Robert, if there's a question.
If there's one, I will relay it.
Okay. Do we have any comments on what Geoffrey has shared?
Maybe let me pose one for him.
Yes.
Geoffrey, when people hear about venture capital, it's always assumed we're talking lots of big money. Are there any thresholds, any minimums that you guys in the venture capital world look at as a beginning point, seed money? Does one have to have a project that needs $1 million, $50,000? Where is the starting point?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. So to put it in perspective, for example, so in the US, like if you're in California, yes, the amount, this is a very expensive area, so the amounts are high. But in Uganda, an early stage company, they may need $20,000. So, and that's not a lot of money within, that's not a lot of money if you consider, I mean, maybe what people spend on weddings and all these other things, that's money that can be, raised very quickly. So, but then also a company now goes through various stages of, capital. So from early stage, there are different rounds, but in Uganda, Africa, the early stage, size of capital around 20, 50, 100 if it's a lot, and then from there, if the company is scaling to other markets, because another thing is that the company always, for these markets now, Africa is not a single market really. So you have to develop something to go beyond Uganda. So if you want to scale and go to other countries, yes, you're going to need more capital. And then of course the money, it goes higher. If you're going to scale into Nigeria or South Africa or whatever, okay? If you want to hire more engineers, whatever, so it goes up, but it is much less than the US, definitely.
All right, thank you, George. Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question for Geoffrey, which might help our audiences. What sectors or what fields are driving the highest investment in venture capital today? Is it retail? Is it particular electronics development? Do you have any inkling towards those things that are driving the highest investments? Is it going to be healthcare? Is it, if you can give us some insights, that would be helpful.
All right. Geoffrey, I don't know if you heard that one. I'm going to try to repeat it for you. You hear it?
No, I do not.
Okay. So that was Mr. Kakari asking for the benefit of viewing audience in here and virtual. That what seems to be the sectors in Uganda, even beyond, that are attracting venture capital investment? Is it healthcare? Is it insurance? Is it education? Any sector that you could say, hey guys, if you're going to think solving a problem, here is where we investors are looking or thinking there are problems that are going to be bankable in the future. Which sectors can you point out?
So I would say every sector there are problems to solve in every sector. I've seen companies, for example, I've met founders from Nigeria. They came here. They've started food delivery. So what we need to realize is that these things are going to pick up. Food delivery is big here in the US. All these, okay? But we need to realize that these concepts are going to pick up in Africa. That society is changing. Okay, so the society 10 years from now will be different. So people are going to want convenience. So all these things are opportunities. So I've met some founders from Nigeria. They started food delivery, in Nigeria, making really luxury, doing very well. So you need to understand now, all these concepts, things we see, are going to happen in Africa. If you look at AI, all the language models are in, how many languages do we have in Africa?
A lot.
So if you think of AI, they're doing all these things, but nobody is doing these things in Acholi or whatever. Okay, so there's so many opportunities, so every sector. If you look at payments, okay, payments still a problem, in Africa. Cross-border, very many tourists come to Lodging, they come from Germany or whatever. They want to pay instantly at a lodge. Okay? So there are opportunities in every sector. But you understand that don't just build it for Kampala or from Wakiso or something like that. That build your product to scale out of Uganda. Just like, if you look at Apple doesn't sell its phone, it sells its phone in California or all these, they build a product with a global view. So the market now in Africa is in Kenya, is in South Sudan, is in, wherever. And technology has improved. Now, you can develop applications in AWS. AWS regions now are in South Africa, they're being rolled out across the continent. So now you can scale your application across different markets. So the barrier really now, it's not like, you have to go, cross the border. AWS is there, all these things are there. So you can scale your application across, a country. So, but now, you have, so the person if you Robert, you're the founder of the company, now you have to understand that when you're building your product, that you're not just building it for Uganda or Kampala.
All right. Thank you very much, George. That was a good question. Thank you. I don't know if you still want to attract more for George or you.
Venture capital is a place that you can never learn enough. And the sooner you learn to form questions for venture capitalists, the better. Because many of you don't know what your value is until someone says, I will pay you 200,000 a year. How do you know if that is even what you're worth? One day, I applied for a job, and I was earning about $50,000 or $60,000 a year.
What was that another question?
No, I'm setting up for another question, which will come. But for the audience, I was earning about $50,000 or $60,000 a year, and I thought it was okay. Back in the day, that was decent money for a fresh immigrant. So I dared to apply somewhere for some work. I reorganized my resume to meet the job's requirements, and I submitted. I got no responses for a long time. And a recruiter reached out to me one day and said, "Hi George, you applied for a job with us 6 months ago. I just wanted to see if you're still available." I said, "Of course I am. If you pay me what I want, life is good, I'll give it a shot." So this gentleman said, "Sure, I'm going to send you these 3 questions, answer them, then we'll see if the company wants to move forward with you." So I got the 3 questions, did my best in responding to them, and 48 hours later, the gentleman called me back and said, "Wow, they want to talk to you. You did so well on those 3 questions." I had no idea what he meant, or whether I had beaten 2 candidates or 100, I didn't know. Anyway, I went in for the interviews, and I endured 14 interviews for one job. 14 interviews for one job. I was shocked. At some point, I lost understanding of what I was doing, because there were so many, one after another, and they had not told me what they're offering me. They just say, "We need somebody with your background.
Is there any other question, Robert?
It's coming, Geoffrey. So, long story short, I'm offered, I think, a job that paid me $120,000 more than I was earning. I had no idea. I was worth $180K when I was doing $60,000. I had no idea. But actually, these people were looking for somebody that is unusual. They didn't know what they were looking for. They just wanted to get somebody that is willing to deal with ambiguity. You get the idea? In tech, you know what I mean. Just being ambiguous. They'll throw you in a situation and you sort of figure it out. They have no time for training nobody. So they need somebody that is going to figure out what he needs to do and do it and tell them what he's going to do, how he did it, and so on. So I didn't know, so I learned that later, that actually, yeah, we wanted you because you were kind of disorganized. I didn't know that was a skill. Anyway, just kidding. But yeah, fortunately, that's what happened to me at the beginning of my tech transition from business to tech. And yeah, it's been history since then. So for Geoffrey, it's very close, Robert, to the previous question. We have heard that venture capital doesn't just follow an idea, but a lot of venture capitalists will invest in the person. What is that skill they look for? What is that attribute they look for in an entrepreneur?
Geoffrey, I don't know if you had that one.
No, I did not. Can you repeat it?
Okay. Geoffrey is asking.
George.
George. I confused the two of you. He's asking that he has learned that venture capital just doesn't follow ideas, right?
Ideas alone.
Ideas alone, but venture capital does not follow or seek ideas alone, but they are also looking for attributes in these individuals, the founders, so to speak. So he's wondering, what are some of those attributes that you venture capitalists look for in the founders or the individuals behind these potential investment decisions?
Yeah, so to maybe I'll make a difference. So first of all, to separate a founder who's like from the US and maybe from California. So a founder who's maybe in this environment, who has maybe worked at Google or Tesla or another company, probably has a lot of experience already. But now when we go to a different context, maybe Africa, or a first-time founder, like in Uganda, because this is the first time they're going to be doing this. So one of the things you look for is the person needs to be able to listen and take advice. Because when you're investing in someone, you're investing really, you're going to be with this person for a long time. So the person needs to be able to take advice because, capital itself doesn't guarantee success. You eventually have to build a company. You have to listen to people. So all those attributes we can tell in someone, You have to be able to follow up, There's so many little things you have to be able to strive. You have to understand to be frugal. So many companies get money and they burn the money and they shut down. So money itself doesn't mean that you're going to succeed. You have to be frugal. You have to strive. You have to do anything to be successful. Now, when you're talking to someone, you can tell someone who has these things, who has these values and all these things, that they really want to strive to be successful. They're able to listen. They're able to take advice. Because many of these companies you see, I can tell you there are so many mistakes that are made. Many of these companies. It's just that these things happen between in the background. But that's what happens. So you have to be able to take advice, you have to be able to listen, you have to really be able to be humble. Because building a company and all these things is not an easy thing. And money itself, doesn't mean that you succeed. Many companies that have money and they fail. You have to be able to build a team. So, because you're not going, you have to be able to build a team. If you're a founder, you're going to need a CTO, you're going to need other people. So, all these things have to come together. Sometimes some founders are by themselves, so you have to, of course, sometimes, the VC can help you in attracting talent, but all these things, that's what they look. You don't look at just the founder, you look at the team. You look at, because these are also new environments, you can look at the actual code they're doing, because there's what they call technical debt. So you can go think you're building a very good product, and everything you're doing is wrong. And then you have to spend money to correct everything. So time spending, recording stuff and all these things is time wasted. So those are some of the things we look at, but one of the key things, really is someone who can listen, if you look at all these things, they're really very passionate at what they're doing. If you look at all these companies, they're very passionate. The founders have been very passionate what they're doing, and they put a lot of time in what they're doing.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Geoffrey. There is one more for Geoffrey.
One more question for you, Geoffrey. Coming up.
All right.
Thank you very much, Juliet Carissa. Mine is maybe not for Geoffrey, but probably for you. Are there some local examples, say back home, that say companies that have benefited from venture capitals to probably share their stories, and we see what challenges and how they have made it to encourage others probably in the road? Thank you.
Yeah, Robert, I want you to pick up on that one.
Yeah, good question. She asked, sorry I didn't get the name, we'll get it, but I think everybody had it. She asked, are there examples?
Juliet Carissa.
Juliet Carissa is wondering, are there examples of companies in Uganda that have received venture capital investment? Examples that we can cite, or that we can have maybe in another format, maybe virtually, that can share so that others can learn from those experiences.
Absolutely, there are several, and you'll be surprised that there are even US companies, prominent VC companies, that are investing in Ugandan companies. And actually one of the complaints they have, they want to see more Ugandans invest, because the issue becomes that if that company becomes successful, then it is the investors seated in the US who benefit. But there are several companies, and some are putting in very good money really. they're there. I think there's a lack of awareness in Uganda, which maybe these things are not written about, but they're there. They're there, and I meet people, who tell you they're traveled to Uganda, and they're investing, in these companies, and that's actually how I ask myself, because a couple of years ago, myself was not so. I was still in the work environment, so I didn't have a lot of time, but I was asking myself, when I met someone, and then I said, well, I was born in Uganda, but then someone else is doing this. And I asked myself, how can they be doing this yet I'm here? So there are several companies, and actually majority of like US-based companies here.
Yeah, and Juliet, I can give you an example that I'm aware of. Last year in Dallas, Texas, our keynote in this forum was the founder of a company called Zofi Cash, which is Uganda-based. He used to be a resident in the diaspora. Figured there's a problem we can solve on the African continent, which is how to advance salaries to the employers. So he set up in Uganda, he stood up a real company employing individuals, and he has received venture capital external. The early investors in him, in his company, were I think British, if I remember correctly. And then today, I think recently, last I heard, was he received an injection of about $2 million, I think it was, from a Nigeria-based venture capital company. So these are Nigerians seeing potential in this Uganda, and they invested in them. Zofi Cash is right there in Uganda. So that's one I can give you. And perhaps we'll bring him back. He was with us, he shared. We'll one day make a connection with you, or bring him back so he can. How we can engage with next media, and he can share with the rest of the country, and then they can learn from his experience and benefit that way.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, and some of the highlights that we have in the program this weekend.
So I'm sorry, I was going to say, are we done with Geoffrey so he's aware?
Yeah.
Thank you. Geoffrey, thank you very much. Very much appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
All right. So I'm going to give a laundry list of successful venture capital-backed initiatives in Uganda. I have a short list I keep. One of the very successful ones is Safe Border. Safe Border is a venture capital-backed initiative in Uganda. Border ride hailing, as you know, and they are evolving into green borders, so to speak, rechargeable borders. They are backed by the Google Launchpad. There is an organization called Alliance X and Go Ventures. These are all non-Ugandan sources of venture capital that backed it. There is another one called Numida, N-U-M-I-D-A, Numida. It is a fintech company, financial technology. They offer digital microloans. Yes, and that is happening. Zofi Cash, which is what has been highlighted, Zofi Cash has found a way of, he started out in California, Mr. Karunji Paul, doing what MoneyGram and others do today, a money transfer. But he has since evolved into a micro-lending function where he lends against your salary. So he's able to provide you a loan that will be cleared when your salary comes through. So if you need cash now, through his application, he can give you that advance right away. You fill in your HR details, your organization, employer confirms, we're good, and he'll put money in your account like right away. And you can repeat it. It's like an overdraft. Yeah? It works like that.
There's another one called Zente, there's Solar Now, Eversend. I'm sure you've seen the application called Jumia. Yes, it's an e-commerce type application. There's Yellow, which is clean energy. And the list is growing. There is no one size that fits all. It's the capacity to come in and network and learn that these things are possible. And so Zofikash is heading to $5 million in valuation, probably by the end of this or next year. He started out with somebody's seed capital of $50,000. He looked for money among us as Ugandans, and nobody ever invested in him. And some British guy believed his story. Now he's valued at $2 million, and they are on track for 5 by the end of next year. So these are interesting conversations, and we want to serve to encourage. Now, for all of us that are in this room, please, you are most welcome. NSSF, which sponsors the convention, has prepared and provided lunch for us. And the lunch session is on now, goes on until about 1:30 or so. So I don't want to deprive you of lunch. Let us have that lunch and probably come in and go all things AI after that. All right? Let's adjourn, but thanks for your attention. Was this good?
Yes.
All right.